I told you, anytime it gets to 27.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm actually paying attention.
Okay, and right here, that's all that it's telling you on that. Check the written numbers. That's what it's telling you right here. Is if you use the number bar for digits, but use word numbers for 1 through 10, then check that. Check the ignore written numbers. Okay, which is just what I told you just a second ago. But that they're just kind of that's what they're saying right here. Here on time, and they'll kind of talk about it a little bit later, but about how you write it out, and which is the proper way of doing it, and how do you stroke it out.
But the funny thing is, like, we'll be writing what people say. It says, how do you transcribe hours without minutes? What do you prefer? At 9 o'clock I'll dine, at 9 I'll dine. It just depends on what other people are saying. It's not what I choose. Right? When I'm in court or whatever, I'm listening to somebody else say, at 9 I'll dine.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm writing that down.
But there's a way of signifying that it's time. Okay? And we'll kind of go through that a little bit later, but you're going to have like a key word like 9, and what I do is T long I M, time, with the asterisk to signify that it's time. So it sets it up as at 9 I'll dine. So mine is going to be at 9:00 I'll dine, because I did the number bar 9, time with the asterisk, signifying that it was time, came before after a number, sets it up as time.
Instead of colon, 9 colon with the, that was the long way of doing it with the KL.
Yeah, and you can do it that way too, with the colon, which is KL, I think it's KLN.
KLO.
Is colon, or KLON. But you have to be careful, because if they ask you to do colon, with something rather than time, then it may get set up differently. Okay, so it's like I have 3 examples, colon.
Yeah, that's a different colon.
So you want to define it. You want to define it differently than it is if it goes with time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you want to be careful how you define it. But if you want to do it 9:00, you can. Not very smart, but that's a way of doing it. Rather than just defining a one word, a one-stroke word, time with a colon. Time with an asterisk. Signifies that it's time, sets it up as 9:00. Okay? That way, you can do it if you want. I was always told when you use a clock, you always use words. You can set it up differently. You can set it up however you want. The person you go to work for may prefer it this way. I'm not saying it's the right way, wrong way. I'm just telling you how I learned it. All of the old clocks was words. And there's a way of setting up o'clock in one stroke too. And it's KLOK asterisk. So 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock with the asterisk sets it up like that. Sets mine up as NINE o'clock. So, if you think that's going to work for you, write it down, practice it, whatever. Right here, they're kind of reiterating what I had said about on the clarify. This is easier to read than this. Okay? And that's where on the clarify little button in your user settings, that's where you set that up on anything over like million. So that's the way that you would set it up. Okay, right here they're talking about going through and cleaning up your dictionary. Okay? So, you know, there's different ways, and they're going to show you on that tutorial exactly kind of what to do. Okay? To go through and clean up your dictionary. So I'll kind of tell you a little bit about it. I'm not going to go in depth about it because we're going to hear it again on that tutorial. But the old CAT system, the way that I learned, was that you had to set it up as a conflict. So you set it up like this, and then you chose which one you needed. So, you know, we had to put it both ways. This is the new way. All numbers are written out, and it knows what to do. It already knows, the system already knows what to do with changing the numbers. So you don't have to overthink it. Okay? So when it has $1, you just define the 1. The dollar, your dollar symbol signifying that it's money, already knows to convert it to a number 1 with a dollar symbol. $10. 10, whether you write it in numbers or whether you write it out, doesn't matter. Even if you put it as a number, you use the number bar and use it as a number, it's still going to be defined in words in your dictionary. It knows what to do with it after that. So that's why I'm saying you don't have to overthink any of the numbers anymore. This is the old way we used to have to do it. This is the new way, where everything is done in words. Any questions about that? Dollars is the same way, guys. This was the old way that we had to do it. You had to set it up as a conflict. Dollars or the dollar symbol with the caret, signifying to put it together with the number. You don't do that anymore with anything. Anything. All you do is write it out. It knows to change it already. So when it has a number and you stroked out dollars with it, it already knows what to do. So you don't have to worry about defining dollars, whether it be dollars, the word dollars. So if you just say, how many dollars did he have? You don't want it to come out like that. And it's not going to come out like that because you didn't have a number before it. Make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it knows to put the dollar sign, or it knows?
It knows with the number. It already knows what the number. This is the way that you define it. So when you go through your dictionary, F9, main dictionary, and you want to go through and search for your dollars, see what it has. Because if the person before you had it this way, then you need to change it. Because you may be stroking it out correctly, but if it's this way in your dictionary, it's going to mess up every time, and you're going to wonder why it's messing up. And it's because you have it defined differently in your, you have it defined wrong in your dictionary. You probably have it defined like that. Okay? Make sense? Same thing with, DZ. So if they say $1, you can write 1DZ, and it knows dollars already. Okay? Y'all do it that way? Y'all use the DZ as dollars?
Yes.
Okay. But you want to go through in your dictionary and make sure that you have DZ defined as dollars. Not the dollar symbol with the caret. Just straight out dollars. Okay? And that's the way they did it right here. Really, you don't even have to do it like this. It already knows with the number that it's going to be defined as dollars.
Because if not, it's out like outside.
And the reason they put it this way, I get you. You know what? I'm sorry, guys. I'm wrong right there. You have to define it like this because it's one stroke. So you don't have a choice. You don't have a choice but to put it like that. So when you use your numbers with the DZ with one stroke, then you're going to have to define it like this. 5 bracket, close bracket, dollars, no spaces. It's just set up just like that, just the way that it looks. Okay? And it's going to know to set it up just like that. This was the old way of doing it. That's the new way of doing it. Okay? Any questions? This is what I was talking about. When you write out 5 second stroke dollars, you don't need to define it like this. You don't need to define it 5 open bracket, close bracket, dollars. All you have to define now is the dollars. That's all you have to define. And that's what it's saying right there. Only dollars needs to be defined. That's it. Because it already knows with a number to convert it. Okay? Same thing with cents. Y'all know how to stroke out cents?
CENTS.
Like, do you have cents?
Oh, SCNS.
SINCE, SENSE, and then dollar cents, money cents. And it's 3 different ways. So you want to be careful about how you stroke it out. Okay? They use it with the TS as their cents. Okay? I learned SK. KR.
That's what we learned.
ENT.
ENT.
I learned
Print.
I learned SK.
SK? And there's different ways of doing it. There's no right way, wrong way, as long as you know that that's money. And that's the only way you use it is as money. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
Because if you have it as SENSE and you have it as maybe a conflict with CENTS, it's not going to work. Okay? It has to be a stroke that can stand alone. And that's what it's meant to be, is money and money only. That's how it knows to convert it. Okay? So when you say $403.06, when you put the cents at the end, it's going to know that the dollars, $408.06. It's going to put the 408. You check that.
The and.
Yeah, the and thing up in the thing. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but use and as money or whatever. Check that. It's going to know to convert it. Leave the and out. The 03 with the cents is going to know to convert it to money, and it's going to put it with the 400 and whatever I said, 483 and 8 cents. It's going to know to put it all together because you have it set up as dollars, cents with numbers. Okay?
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Sure.
We use CENTS and it looks like it's supposed to be SCNTS now.
Is it? SK?
E-N-T-S. Do y'all see that? Right? It's different.
Well, that's what it says right here. You can use it however you want. I use KR, Cents. Cents is what I use,
Since makes more
which is
sense on the S.
C-E-N-T-S, you know. But, I mean, you can use it however you want as long as it's different than anything else that you use, okay? Same thing right here about cents, where they're talking about 10S. You can also use the S, like you use the DZ for dollars. They do it with numbers with S, means cents. And that's the way that you would define it. 10, open, close bracket, cents. And it already knows to put it as 10 with the little cent sign. Okay, so if they talk about, well, how much did he spend? How much was that piece of candy? 10 cents. It was 10 cents. Then that's the way it already knows to set it up that way. Okay? Right here they're talking about what you define these as. 100, million, billion, trillion, whatever. You write it out. This was the old way of doing it. You had to put the caret with the 00, not anymore. All you do, everything is just written out now. Okay? The only time you use the numbers is when you stroke it together. Okay? Here's the HUNDS that I was talking about earlier. That's the way you define it now. $100. Okay? You don't do it like this anymore. This is the way you do it. 100, open, close bracket, dollars. Okay, so if we were going to define this, you have 25,000, how would we do it? How would you define that if you're putting it in your dictionary?
25,000. The number's 25 and then thou, T-H-O-U. Because it says down here, old cat, 25,000. Eclipse, remove the entry, make sure thou is defined.
So what would you do?
Make sure thou is defined.
You know what? You go sit outside.
Okay.
Huh? Anyone else?
25,000.
I'm not saying that's right or wrong. Anyone else?
What are you really asking?
I'm going with 25,000.
If you wrote 25 number, 1,000, and you want it to come out as 25,000, how do you define it? How do you global it? What do you define?
It's already in our dictionary.
You go sit with her outside.
It is, it even says
Huh?
dollars.
No, they're just saying 25,000. They're not saying dollars. They're not saying anything. What do you think, Slick?
Is it 25 the bracket inside?
What do you think?
I would do like the number 25 with the number bar and then do THOU with like a comma at the same time.
Okay, how would you define it?
I've already defined it.
You've already got it globaled. I'm not asking you what the steno is. I don't care what the steno is.
25.
I'm asking how you define it to where it's going to come out like that.
25,000.
That's how you define it.
Yeah,
For
that's how we
next
do
to
it.
old cat, 25,000.
Anyone else? I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Anyone else have a different idea? Huh?
I would just, isn't it that way? Isn't it global that way?
Which way? This way?
Right there.
That's how you're saying to define it?
That's how you want it to come out, yeah.
20,000.
That's how you want it to come out. That's how you define it?
Yeah.
Final answer?
Final answer.
What is the answer?
You're gonna say, oh,
All of y'all go sit outside. One, you haven't listened to anything I just said.
We have.
We just
It doesn't matter about numbers. You don't define numbers anymore. Numbers are gonna come out as numbers. So you don't do anything with that.
Right.
You global that, and you write out thousand. THOUSAND.
That's too simple.
That's
question.
all you do, and it comes out like that.
That was a quick, easy question. That's too simple, Donna.
You would think. That's why I'm saying, guys, when we go over stuff, that's why I want you to go back that week and use the stuff. Because you think you know what it is, and you don't. And I'm not making fun, I'm just saying, you're making it harder than it needs to be.
Oh, that makes perfect.
And I just explained to you that you don't do anything with numbers anymore. So if you wanted $25, how would you define it?
Dollars.
Just dollars. DOLLARS. That's it. You don't do anything with the number. You don't define the number at all.
Unless it's in the same
Well,
stroke,
that
right?
just made,
Unless it's in the same stroke is the only time that you do it. 25 cents, $25, you do 25 DZ, then you would have to do it because it's in the same stroke. Okay?
yes. all
That's the only time you do it.
Okay.
But if you want it to come out like this, and you stroked it out like that in 2 strokes, 25,000, all you have to define is 1,000. Same thing right here. What would you do?
100,
100,000.
They're fine.
You stroke them together?
No.
You define them together?
Bracket, bracket.
No,
Huh?
because you could use them separately at some other time, so you wouldn't put them together.
Correct.
Ding, 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 Greg,
You
just
can,
sitting
you can
here.
come back in.
Thank you.
Messed up on the first one, so you went out, you just came back in.
Thank you, sir.
All you would do is define them differently, okay? Make sure that 100 and 1,000 are defined. That's what it's saying right there, okay? You don't do anything with the one, nothing, okay?
Si, senor. Only if you have a habit of writing the G. No. Dollars.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing here. I don't know what that is. But if that's the way you stroke out 1,000, then that's the way you, this was the old way we had to do it. Caret, comma, caret signifies that the numbers go together, that it's gonna add the zeros. Same thing with the dollars. That's the way you define it. If you're gonna do $1,000.
We
Okay.
use that.
And if you put 3 next stroke $1,000,
You only
define it like that. Don't mess with the 3, and it's gonna know to put it together
Yes.
already.
Yeah, we've done that.
Okay?
$400,000, yeah.
Understand?
Yes.
Because when I ask a question again and somebody gets it wrong,
We need a machine so we can kind of demonstrate.
bring your machine. Actually, we are gonna bring our machines probably in a couple of weeks, and we're gonna try some of this stuff out. So,
In a couple of weeks, we may not be here anymore. It's getting short.
true that. Y'all keep giving wrong answers. This was on the million that I was telling you about. That's the way you define it. That's the way that it's stroked. Okay? Now, if you're gonna stroke it MIL, just like I told you, you have to stroke it differently. So put the asterisk with it, because it's going to conflict with like a sawmill or something like that. Okay? So it has to be different. So if you want it, if you like that, it works for you, great. If you don't, find a way that does, stay with it, define it as that, doesn't matter, because even if they say, well, how many times did you do it? 1 million? You're gonna put 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. No. You want it to come out as million. A million. Not 1 million. He didn't say 1 million. He said a million. Okay? That's the way you want it to come out. That's the way it's going to come out because that's the way you have it defined. But I have 9 million. It doesn't matter. It knows it has the number before it. It's still defined the same way. It's going to know to convert it to 9. It's going to know to put 9 million. Okay? Unless you change it in your user settings. Okay? So if you don't change it in your user settings, then it's going to put 9, 000, 000. Okay? So however you want it set up is how it's going to do it. This is the way that you do $1 million in one stroke. So if it works for you, that's the way you do it. If it doesn't work for you and you use the I, it's really not going to conflict with anything else. Builds will, maybe. Because, well, it all depends. It all depends because I do build and build, B-I-L-L-E-D and B-U-I-L-D the same way. I just use the asterisk with one or the other, okay? And that's the way it defines it differently. Adding the Z makes it totally different. Makes it a totally different stroke. So even if he builds the car, I do build, come back S, not Z. I don't do the Z with it. So, you know, if that's the way you do it,
Well, the thing is, you would have a number with it, and it would know that that was $1 million with that VC on there, as opposed to like $1 billion.
yeah.
If you put 3 bills.
But it doesn't matter because it's not going to conflict with anything. So it's always going to know that it's $1 million.
Bills might, but then you'd have 3 bills, $1 million. Probably bring that.
Yeah.
Well, unless you do it without the I, the LTZ.
ELDZ.
And that's the way that they do it.
Yeah.
And they'll show you here in just a second.
The G.
Also with the point, guys, see how they defined it here? It's not point, it's point, okay? That's when you know that you want it as a decimal, okay? So if they say 0.5 milligrams, point, P-O-I-N, is the way that they do it.
It was showing us point with an asterisk, P-N-T with an asterisk. It's how we pull our numbers together, right?
Is how you pull your numbers together?
Yeah, that's how you pull them together.
Okay.
The asterisk with the.
Same thing.
Same idea.
It's the same thing. And it doesn't really matter what you use as long as you define it correctly. That it's used as a decimal,
Yes.
okay?
It's the same idea.
And that's the way you define it. This one is